So you watch the Devil May Cry anime and you're wondering where you should start with the video games. Well, in today's video, I'm going to tell you where you should start, what games to skip, and yeah, just in general talk about DMC. Anyways, let's get into this video. Before we get into it though, I'd appreciate if you could like the video and subscribe. It'd really help me out. So first off, you're going to want to start off with Devil May Cry 1. Now, yes, I'm not going to be going in chronological order because gameplay differs between them. So if you just go from 3 to 1, you're kind of maybe be disappointed in number 1's gameplay because DMC3 really kicks it up a notch. Now, Devil May Cry 1 came out back in 2001, and for the time it was really good, but the game is kind of a little janky now, especially when it comes to Devil May Cry 5, but it's still a great game, and it kind of shows you the foundations for the Devil May Cry series. And the story, it's okay, especially the voice acting, but I mean, it's 2001, so you gotta kind of cut it a little slack. I should have been the one to fill your dark soul. I'm sorry, bro. I had to. Now, the next game, you can basically skip it. Devil May Cry 2 is not good. Not good. Not just in terms of gameplay, but in terms of story. There's nothing really going on. Dante is a completely different character. Bro barely talks for half of the freaking game, bro. And the new type of character that you play as, I mean, she's kind of interesting, but I mean, she's nowhere near Dante's level. The story, just in general, for Devil May Cry 2 is just kind of horrendous. And with the success of Devil May Cry 1, Capcom really wanted to push another Devil May Cry, and it led to the game being hella rushed and a whole new team. So nobody from the first game worked on Devil May Cry 2, and nobody knew about it. Even the person who made Devil May Cry 1 didn't even know that it was being made. And yeah, it personally shows. Devil May Cry is basically a third-person shooter because the guns are so heavily overpowered in Devil May Cry 2 that you don't need to use Rebellion at all during your entire playthrough. Now, I tried to play Devil May Cry 2 with melee combat, and the melee combat stinks too because it is not like Devil May Cry 1 where you have to time your taps. You have to fidget with the analog stick and rotate it certain directions, and it's terrible. It is completely and utterly horrendous. So I highly recommend that you skip Devil May Cry 2. Now we get to the good Devil May Cry, the one that is currently being shown for gameplay, Devil May Cry 3. And with the HD collections, you can get all 3 of these games. I kind of wish that Devil May Cry 2 was not included in this HD remaster or remake or whatever it is. Because I mean, Batman Arkham Origins is not considered in the stuff, so I feel like Capcom should have done that too with Devil May Cry 2 and not included it. But it is. But Devil May Cry 3 is so good. The guy who kind of helped bring Devil May Cry 2 to a kind of playable state said, you know what, let me prove myself and make a great Devil May Cry game. And he did. He blew it out of the park. Now, originally you couldn't play as Virgil in the original, but as soon as Special Edition dropped, you could play as Virgil, and all Special Editions allow you to play as Virgil. But I think for majority of them, you have to finish the main campaign, and then you can just replay it as Virgil. I really wish that Virgil would kind of get his own campaign for once. I thought that was going to be the case in Devil May Cry 5, but highly disappointed. But no. This game is so good. It introduces the styles from Devil May Cry 5, and it also introduces a lot of gameplay mechanics, combat, and everything. It's just so good. And then obviously you get to play as Virgil. Virgil is not as good as he is in DMC5 in this game, because obviously they're just reusing stuff from his boss stuff. So I mean, I still believe that Dante is still a better character in terms of playing in DMC3, but Virgil is pretty fun too. So yeah, Dante is actually back to himself like he was in Devil May Cry 1, where he's joking and he's just kind of mocking his enemies, Not gonna lie, it kind of reminds me of our friendly neighborhood webhead. But yeah, one of my favorite scenes in Devil May Cry 3 is when the lady shoots a rocket at him and he proceeds to ride the rocket like it's nothing. Now, this is where we finally jump to the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 generation with Devil May Cry 4. Now, for me personally, this was my first game in the series. I vividly remember trying to beat Dante in the tutorial when I was a kid, and I could not because Dante was just Dante. But recently played it recently, and I managed to beat him. So take that, younger me. Now, Devil May Cry 4 introduces a new character in Nero. Now, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but for those who have played Devil May Cry 5, know who this is. And yeah, Devil May Cry 4 kind of really differs in gameplay in terms with Nero, because Nero is such an aggressive character compared to Virgil and Dante. You can tell that Nero is a very emotional character, and he shows that through his combat. Nero is very close up. He likes to grab you and punch you repeatedly in the face. And honestly, Nero is one of my favorite gameplay styles to play in any slasher type game, because I just love characters that are up in your face all the time and do not give you a break or relent. And it is completely awesome. Now, a lot of people are kind of differed on Devil May Cry 4, because Devil May Cry 4, you mainly start off with Nero, and then eventually you get to play and control Dante, but it's just backtracking and basically doing everything that Nero did, just backwards. And a lot of people were kind of meh on that. And yeah, same with the story. A lot of people like the story, a lot of people don't. Me personally, I think it's okay. I mean, it's no Devil May Cry 5 or 3, but hey, I'll take what I can get. So after Devil May Cry 4, because it was on Xbox as well, and I think PC as well, Capcom was kind of disappointed with the sales of it. To them, it just wasn't enough. So they decided to hand it off to Ninja Theory and essentially reboot the franchise. And this is where we get DMC, Devil May Cry. Now, this game is not bad in terms of gameplay, but in terms of story, it is terrible. The best way I can describe it is kind of like the Devil May Cry uh, TV show. I mean, it's got the same type of stuff as the reboot had, but yeah. So, I mean, you're welcome to play it. I mean, it's not terrible. The gameplay is pretty solid, but the story is definitely the worst one by far, 100%. Now we get to one of my favorite games of all time, Devil May Cry 5. Now, we had to wait a long time for Devil May Cry 5. After the reboot, the series kind of went incognito. Nobody was talking about it. Capcom was pretty much, it seemed like they were pretty much done with it. And then later, or I think it was 2019 or 2018, they announced Devil May Cry 5. And I remember being so hyped because I played Devil May Cry 4, and I looked at the reboot and I was like, no, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. And thank God I didn't. I'm still kind of a little interested in terms of gameplay, but I mean, with Devil May Cry 5 now, there's literally no point. Devil May Cry 5 takes all the best parts from Devil May Cry 4 and makes them 10 times better. And the gameplay between Nero and Dante now is just crazy. A lot of people are mixed on V. I don't mind V, but I mean, my fingers do hurt after pressing his buttons so much, because he's just one of those characters that you basically can button mash with him and you'll win. Hope this video helped you to figure out which game you want to play first. For me personally, I started out with 4 when 4 came out, and then eventually over time I just eventually started playing the older games. I hope this video helped you figure out which games you should play first, or just what type of game in the series that you're kind of interested in checking out. If you like this video, please leave a like down below. It really helps me out. And I don't know, maybe share this video to your friends or your family or anybody else who's interested in getting into the Devil May Cry series. I hope this video can help whoever needs help figuring out what game they should start with first, or if they should just get into it. But yeah, you guys have a good rest of your day. Peace.